Abracadabra, y'all. Wands up in the air, dusty roads and old saloons, magic everywhere.
This is 13 Minutes to Magic Texas, an abbreviated limited series podcast about the TAOM, SAM, FISM, NACM combined convention on August the 30th through September the 2nd, 2024 in Arlington, Texas, which we call Magic Texas. I am one of your hosts, Scott Wells.
I'm Mike Miller, Convention Director for Talent.
Every 2 weeks, we will post a new episode with new information, updates, and announcements about Magic Texas. And this week, we're going to be talking with Joan, who is in charge of the judging for the contest. Now, this particular convention is going to be quite unique because, again, being combined not just with the SAM. In the past, the IBM and SAM have had combined conventions. This goes beyond that because we are combining it with FISM and also North American Championships of Magic, the NACM. That means that the road to tour in Italy means you're going to have to, if you want to represent North America, you'll have to go through Dallas and compete to move on from there. And so we've got Joan then with us here, and she has been a judge for FISM for a number of years. Hi there, Joan, and welcome.
Hi, Scott. Thank you.
And you have been a judge for FISM, and you've been traveling to, how long have you been doing that?
Well, the first time I went to FISM was 1997 in Dresden, Germany. And boy, I love FISM. And I love the contest because the people who compete are absolutely wonderful. It's like seeing a gala show all day.
It is, because one right after the other, and they're at a certain level. So in a gala show, you have really good show and good professionals. And in order to compete, you have to have a certain level or they'll take you off the stage. Or isn't that true that like if some countries have sent a representative, they're not considered worthy, if you will? Or what's the...
It used to be more so than it is now.
Okay.
Because anybody could compete in the past, but now with continental FISMs, the poor performers are weeded out.
Okay.
So it's rare that we get an act that is red lighted, which means that the judges have said that they're not worthy, or they've gone over time.
Well, there are a couple of things. You're exactly right, in which there have been some. I remember one particular occasion where there was an American group that didn't do very well, and they had to be taken off the stage, I believe. And many of them also have gone over time. Gosh, I remember, was it Woody Oregon? And,
oh, dear.
Had gone over time, and everybody was hollering, hey, because they could see that the yellow light was on, and he didn't care. He kind of went on, and he was disqualified. And so they're very strict on that, right? And so this is going to be FISM rules, and they'll be strict on time as well, correct?
Absolutely. 10 minutes, the red light goes on, and you're disqualified. At the other extreme, it has to be over 5 minutes.
Oh, no, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
If somebody comes out and just does one trick and I'm done, they didn't qualify because you're not doing 5 minutes.
Well, they're disqualified in two ways. Under 5 minutes, and it has to be more than one trick that they show.
Now, I understand they have an originality or an invention as well. So
yes.
there could they come out and just do one thing and say, this is my invention, or I'm competing for originality, or?
Yeah, they could do that. They have to show show the invention on stage and explain it to the judges later.
Okay. How it's actually done?
Yes.
Okay. And obviously it can't be something that necessarily they're using stooges or something out, or whatever.
Well, in the past, the contestants could pick their own volunteers. But because one contestant obviously had a stooge, that was changed. Things change because of things that happen. So now, ahead of time, the stage manager chooses usually maybe 5 women and 5 men who can be used for volunteers. So there's no chance of a stooge.
As I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like Leonard Green had lost one time because they thought he was using a trick deck. And
yes.
He came back the next year because he was so good.
Yes, yeah. And I heard that he told the judges, he gave the deck to the judges and said, if you find anything wrong with this deck, I'll give you $10,000 each.
Wow. That's one way of buying their vote, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, as far as selecting judges, to be a judge like the TAOM or the SAM, Mike, how do you guys, I say you guys, I mean the SAM, I would say I represent the TAOM, and if you're representing the SAM, how do you guys select judges for that? I mean,
well, Vinny Grasso was running a competition, and Paul Cartelli, and those two would go out and pick the judges. So I'm not exactly sure what criteria they had for that. But they're the ones that would pick the judges.
But they were qualified people who knew magic, certainly, and so it wasn't just like, hey.
I think they would even get one lay audience member to be a judge.
Oh.
So, but I'm not exactly sure how they went about picking them.
Right. My point is, with judges in FISM, typically they have to be trained, and they go to training schools.
They're more rigidly trained now than they were in the past.
Yes.
And for FISM North America, we need at least half of the judges to be FISM judges in the past. And the others are working toward becoming FISM judges.
Okay. Like Trixie and Oscar and some people, I guess, who have been, okay. And so once they kind of get trained, then they can, and
well, Oscar is a FISM judge, I believe.
Official judge. Yeah, seems like he said he'd gone overseas, I think, for some training or something as part of that. Do the same judges judge for close-up and stage?
FISM North America, yes.
Okay.
At FISM proper, they have different judges.
Okay. People who specialize in...
Yes.
Okay.
And there are 150 performers, competitors at FISM.
Yeah, like in Quebec last year, or a few years ago.
And it's just too much for somebody to judge 150 acts and do it properly.
Very good point. Yeah. As far as this year, for those who are listening and thinking, well, I want to compete, it sounds interesting, you've missed the deadline.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it's too late. So we're just kind of telling you already that you should come and see those people who have qualified, who are going to be competing. And I know FISM has different categories, and whereas like with the SAM and the TAOM, we just have like basically close-up stage. Does the SAM also have like club or comedy or anything? Or
I think they do have a comedy award, a Terry Seabrook award. I think they have a mentalism award, creativity, originality. So yeah, they do have different awards. Yes.
One other thing too is with the FISM, there may not be a first, second, or even a third trophy awarded, whereas like with the SAM, the TOM, typically it's like whoever's there, that there's usually always a winner.
Yeah, and it depends. It could be a Medal of Honor, or if People's Choice. Silver medal, you have to have a certain amount of points, and the gold medal, you have to have a certain amount of points. There's only been a few gold medalists in the SAM.
And like with the IBM then as well, of course. You know, they've had like 6 gold medal winners, I think maybe 7 gold cup winners. So yeah, it's very prestigious, I think, to get to a certain point. But my point is that even though we would have some really good competitors then this year, theoretically, it could be that they may not get enough points to even send anybody to FISM. Theoretically. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And some of the categories, like we were talking about, you got close-up and stage. And within mentalism, remember a few years ago, it seems like that when it wasn't the Evisons, just a minute, it was the Clairvoyants. And they were the first ones who had actually taken first prize in mentalism for like years. I mean, there's been a second, third given, but I think this was the first, like in 2 or 3 years that they had won that mentalism award. The point being is that it is very prestigious to win an award at FISM. And once you even get there,
a couple who won it last at Quebec, I think, too.
Yes, there was following that, but it was the year prior to that. I think when we were in Rimini, Italy, when they had won. The point is that we've got then several categories. So the judges for this year will again be judging categories. Yes. Both those over there then as well. Will there be, do you know, Joan, if it's going to be like one day of close-up and another day it's going to be stage judging?
That's right.
Okay, so it's not going to be all in one day of competitions all one day?
2 days, and I believe they're a day apart.
Okay. When people had sent in that, when I said send in their entry forms, I assume that there's some sort of video or whatever that accompanies that?
Yeah, they send in a video, and that video goes to 3 preliminary judges who are very well versed in magic, and they decide whether the act is worthy of going to FISM North America.
And there have been some, I'm sure, who want to compete and they don't make it even to the competition.
Yeah, and sometimes it just kills me.
Yeah.
But
by the way, it just came to me, Tommy 10 and Emily. Tommy.
Oh.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about then.
The clairvoyance.
I said clairvoyance.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think of their name,
Yeah.
Tommy 10 and Emily. But along that line, trying to get people FISM ready, Mark D'Souza has been telling me a little bit about what he's
Mark
working on.
D'Souza has a new foundation that's going to help competitors that want to compete for FISM. If they want to compete and they want to know how to go about it, they ought to contact Mark D'Souza because he's going to have a course on everything you need to know to compete for FISM for North America. Because North Americans, we've had some great North American championships. Lance Burton, Sean Farquhar, Shin Lim,
Greg Fruin,
Rick Merrill.
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny Ace Palmer, some great ones, but there's been far and few between. So the Europeans and the Spaniards are just destroying, and the Asians are just destroying.
Guys, South Koreans and everybody else. That has been just tremendous. Well, I'm glad that we've got somebody who actually understands the rules and judges and is going to be able to share their wealth of advice. Well, thank you very much. Looks like we've reached the end of 13 minutes then over here. Joan, thanks very much for sharing some information about the judging and what's going to be happening. I'm glad to hear that he's going to be doing that, and they can get hold of
Mark D'Souza.
I think it's just FCAPS, that's KAPS at AOL.com.
Yeah,
and, you
I
can
think so.
Get hold of him then that way. Okay, I think we're out of time. We try to keep this to 13 minutes because, well, it's 13. It is assembly number 13. And
hopefully we'll see them in Texas.
Yeah, we'll see you in Texas because it's just right around the corner. So, for Magic Texas, be sure to go to magictexas.com. That was Mike Miller and Joan Caesar. This is Scott Wells. Bye-bye, y'all.
Y'all.